Namo tase bhagavato arehato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arehato samma sambuddhase. Namo tase bhagavato arehato samma sambuddhase. Good evening, everyone. For today's sutra class, I thought that we could take this time to start the session off with a meditation focused upon what are discussions around in the Dhammasangani, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, we've been doing through the weeks, focusing on the Four Noble Truths, seeing the Dukkha Satya, seeing the Dukkha Satya. Now, let us sit comfortably, relaxed, taking a deep breath in. Let us guide our attention to a time of practice, meditation, focused upon the present, and using the breath to guide your attention to the present, observing the breath with every inhale and exhale. Observe the entire body. Observe the entire body. Gently, gently. Observing all the sensations that you see, that you are able to observe without a form of liking or disliking. Just observe. With a sense of equanimity. Observe in the body. At this time of day. After a day of maybe going to work, studying, running errands, little chores around the house. And now, here in the present, see the way the mind and the body is. Is it calm? Or is it in a bit of tension? Holding stresses, aches, pain, observing the body, each and every fiber of this mass, with complete equanimity, like you would observe a man across the street, just attentively aware, still passing no judgment, not concluding decisions, just aware, observe, observe, balancing one's attention every moment, being genuinely present with the object, not observing the object through a ditty, a view, but completely with a sense of disattachment, with a sense of understanding. In Dhamma, helping us to just be with the object, the body, and each and every moment, the different vibrations you might experience across the whole body. Tiredness, burdens, responsibility, maybe even calmness, tranquility, peace, lack of peace, frustration, whatever disturbances there might be, hindrances, chalana, condition for the kileshas to arise. Let us cultivate a sense of compassion leading on to equanimity as we observe the raw conditions in our life, the conditions that we call our life. Gently, whilst being fully aware and open without judgment to all the present condition. See the tightness around the head, the shoulder, the heaviness of the belly. As we all contemplate, discern the nature of impermanence, every moment, the demarcation of a moment is valid because of impermanence. Every new experience, every sight, smell that continue to be in our experience, moving, trotting, standing, sitting, running, moving, doing, jumping, all the different motions that we see, impermanent. As a man places one foot before the other, lifting off the weight of the other feet to now the forward foot, changes the balance of the man's body. Change, impermanence of circumstance, happy, sad, best, worst, welcoming, unengaged, mannered, well mannered. All the different experiences at the sixth sense basis, moment to moment changes in the mind as the mind arises and ceases, arising yet again with condition, ceasing having created being a condition, in continuous flow. The sun rises and sets. The changes of the seasons, the disintegration of what was once new, change, constant change, the change being conditioned, creates a vast amount of sankhara arising in different beings through the being, creating the complex web that we weave together. But really, alone, because it is only within this nama and rupa that we can begin to explore the fallacy of the images in front of us, the world that we create through craving, clinging, aggression, violence, through good and bad, and through the time, the good and the bad, connected with the karmas of all those who live, determine the state of the world, the conditioned, but that entire world is experienced through six sense spaces. In the way that we create sankhara, which keeps us tied up in that network of suffering, is the craving, the bizarre craving that arises, so deeply rooted, every moment, the potential of this craving is present. It corrupts the mind and creates suffering. It is in this getting rid of craving which is the only way of getting rid of what is Dukka Sacca, Samudaya Sacca. So let us develop a deep sense of disattachment whilst being keenly aware of the nature, the present nature, internally, externally, gently, whilst observing the body, the Kaya Pasada, the place of contact, observing anything that is felt, being not so concerned whether it is positive, something you like, or negative. Just let go. Bring it to equanimity. Look equanimously at this mass. The vibrations all over. As we see the nature of impermanence, knowing and seeing this impermanence is a characteristic of nature. And this impermanence is a cause for this suffering. Because dharmas can come to cease. There is pain when one is no more, liking, disliking, emotions governed by the hindrances, letting go deeply as we find our attention shifted all around the world, the external, the bahira, everything beyond the body and mind. everything beyond this mass, the external, directing our attention through lived experience to know how diverse the external world is. Far beyond comprehension. The Buddha wake up to that suffering through their insight, omniscience. As the Buddha says, while having some sand on his finger, Ananda, is the sand on his finger more or the sand in the world more? The sand in the world, Bhagava, is more. Ananda, such is suffering. The suffering that is here within the present in comparison to the great suffering outside this body is so much more greater. Life, people, birth, continuous cycle, pain, suffering, grief, famine, war, cancer, death. At every moment, there can be so many conditions, countless, infinite possibilities, bringing about suffering, laying the foundation for future suffering, trod- trodding along in samsara, in pain, fear, anxiety, depression, sadness, happiness, excitement, elation, joy, bliss, peace, all components and conditions of mental emotion based upon the prajnapti, the conventional reality that we think is capable of bringing us peace. Peace is short lived. The more sankhara, the more conditioned to burden peace, the more the eyes see and attach, cling, the ears hear and cling, the tongue tastes and yearns and clings to taste it again. The smell, all the six sense bases, panchupadhana kanda dukkha, the five aggregate is suffering. Guiding your attention to the nature of dukkha in the mind and body, agitation, the 81 chitta, 52 chetasika, 28 rupa, mind and body. This whole mass is dukkha. Break through the gana sanya, the compactness, and find that just like this vibration, unsettling, emotion, deep, lies a cause and effect, cause and effect, letting go, observe, Nama, the Rupa, the present moment, coming in close to the Kanapatra, being within the pure present. And if you are not, letting go, finding your way through the story, the imagination, to observe the Dukka Sacca in the present, the vibrations of the body arising through each and every fiber of your body. Apply your mind to the heaviness that is felt through this chalana of arising and ceasing motions of the vibration. A state unsettling because it keeps on arising and ceasing, arising and ceasing. And the mind is alert, observe, observe, gently, gently, as you observe this suffering, external, now internal. When greed, attachment arises towards any state, the potential for suffering arises. Dukkha, dukkha, dukkha. moment to moment, letting go of the attachment we might exercise to any specific thought or state of the mind or body. And simply observe the nature of dukkha within the present, from the sensation. When the sensations arise, the mind taking the sensations as object, observing, observing the heaviness of mind when the mind is busy creating sankhara throughout the day, the week, the month, samsara, the amount of family we would have had in our past would be unimaginable. In distant samsara, or not so long ago, we would have been animal, insect, bird. We could have been anyone. Such is how long this samsara is. It is beyond comprehension. How vast the type of mind, the type of body, and just so, with all the suffering caused by conditioning, tanha, avidya, observing the sensation within the body and the reaction of the mind. Observing the mind and the body. mind and the body. Gently, gently. Dukka, Dukka, Dukka. Gently, gently, knowing the nature of non-self, this suffering that I have created through the six sense bases, the mental suffering, the physical suffering, is anatta through the delusion of self. We assume that this suffering is happening to me, but this suffering is present because of the five aggregate, the past five aggregate, now the present five aggregate, karma, vipaka, karma, karma resultant, janaka karma, upastambhaka karma, upagataka, upapilaka, ahosi, the different nature through which karma gives result, supporting, breaking all conditions. We take full responsibility within this present. We come to a state of mind to open our hearts to the Dhamma, to see the monotonous nature of this sankhara as we traverse through happiness and pain, mental and physical, through the cycle of rebirth, life after life, life after life. And even in this very moment, because there is a body, there is physical pain, but we cling on to the pleasure to forget the possibility of pain. But the pleasure too exists in a manner unsettling, seizing. The more condition that happiness has, the more fragile the happiness is when you let go. A lot of things begin to fade from our lives, things that brought sankhara. All of this begins with the mind. Embrace the peace. The present moment. If the peace of the present is so calming, imagine Maggapala, Nibbana. Let us be inspired by the Dukka. Let us learn to do, to be genuinely, fully, to be alert through the Dhamma. The mind cherishing the ability of letting go, like when releasing a bird from a cage, letting things fly away. When its time in your life has come to an end, knowing the nature of impermanence and suffering, and through which we come to know that all of these are conditioned. There is no true self, nothing lost, nothing gained. Inspired by the Dhamma, inspired by the peace of Nibbana, inspired by the practice. May we open our heart take fullest responsibility and bringing our attention to the present with the essence of Dhamma, nurturing the mind and body. The awareness of impermanent suffering and non-self seeping into action, into thought, into speech, not giving into extreme, being alert at the indriya, and connecting with the deep truth that is present in every moment. When there is clinging, there is suffering. The bonds that govern us, our lives, our family, the neighborhood, our life are not only written in this life, but through all of our past lives, lives that we cannot even remember, affecting, giving result again and again with delusion. We accept this as my suffering, but this is the suffering of the five aggregates. If there is mind, if there is object, if there is body, dukkha, 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 gently taking a deep breath in, letting go, with your attention directed to the six sense spaces, alert, aware of the mind, continuing to be aware of the mind and body. Let us gently, gently Become aware of the body sitting here. Wednesday Sutra session. Have we guide our attention to the room, the floor below our feet, the cushion, the chair, the posture, the body, the senses, the eyes, slowly. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. All right, everyone. So, we discussed the 25 perceptions when it comes to the Chattali Sakara um, Vipassana, the 40 different perceptions on how we could gauge impermanence, suffering, and non-self. And non-self. I found a useful chart um, from a power book, Knowing and Seeing. Take a look here. It will help us jog our memory from last time. Now, so we were focusing on the 25 perceptions of suffering, everyone. The first one, Dukkato. Dukkato. So Dukkato, we had Dukkato as object. When you are observing the nature of suffering, this word suffering is not a great translation of the word dukkha, right? But one should understand that the word suffering implies not to this, not just to this great woeful suffering that one might have as a result of an unfortunate crisis, but it also relates to the emotional experiences that we go through daily, right? That we draw from the past, the future, all these prajnaptis, all these prajnaptis. Now, this, when we look at suffering, and then we come to, you might ask, okay, you're saying suffering, dukkhato, and then you're saying, okay, disease, isn't disease also suffering? Why are we looking at disease? Remember that these are perception, sanya. Sanya. These are ways of seeing what dukkha is. What dukkha is. So, for example, if we are relating to a horrible disease and people who were affected by that horrible disease and every bit of chaos, misery, turmoil, um, um, afflictions, a menace, the lack of protection, you see. All of those different sanyas, if you would take, for example, COVID-19, with all the different stories that we would hear every single day on the news or some sort of outlet or online, if you're focusing on the disease, you see, you're taking the sanya of disease. If you're taught focus, your mind is attentive about the suffering, the general suffering of the masses of people, right? How this is like an affliction, a disaster, economies, people suffering, unable to eat, feed themselves. How this has become disastrous for some people suiciding without a way of income. Families, the amount of divorce cases, the amount of um, the amount of domestic violence issues, all of these things that rose up during that time, if you're looking at that part as a disaster, how this caused so much of mishap, right? Now, the you could look in these ways at the sammuti, but where this kind of technique comes into play is where you can attribute or relate through the sammuti into this very present moment. Now, in your sensations, if I might ask for your experiences, what were your experiences in attributing between the vibrations of the body and the dukkha nature? How did you see that dukkha nature? Anyone? Devika, would you like to go? Would you like to tell us what your experiences were?
Excuse me, Bante, I can tell you something.
Okay,
Okay, go
Anasa.
ahead, Sujata.
The thing is, Bante, actually, I suffered today more than any other day.
Mm,
I got all the pains I never had before. I don't know why.
mm,
And anyway, I went through it. Halfway through, I thought I can't anymore. My shoulders were aching, my chest was paining. I don't know, and my legs were aching.
mm,
Uh, and it was
mm,
unusual, really, doctor. I don't know
mm.
why, Bante. Quite unusual.
Okay, okay, Sujata. Did
I
anyone
was
else have an
yeah,
experience like that?
because I'm wondering whether I should tell this or that it might take me as a joke or something. But
No,
it's just that.
No,
no, no. It is not at all a joke, Sujata. Ma'am, right? Did anyone else have an experience like?
um, Bante.
Yeah.
So, what I want to say is, Bante, like I was not leaning back uh, in my seat, I was sitting straight. So, I had this terrible backache.
Mm,
But then it went away
mm,
because I was concentrating so much in my breath and I was listening to your guidance,
mm,
and subsequently it went away because I was concentrating so much. And also, when you were talking about these dukkha things, I could really feel that, how people must be suffering in these war torn areas. Currently, the wars going on in these countries.
mm,
So I was thinking what dukkha they must be suffering, you
mm,
know.
mm,
So we are lucky to be in a situation where we don't have to undergo all that. But we are trying to get rid of this samsaric suffering. So your guidance, that meditation was such a blessing, Bhante.
mm. We have to, whilst we bring our attention to an element such as suffering, we
Yes,
approach this through anicca,
yes,
right? We approach it through anicca because when you put your mind into that suffering is also impermanent.
Yes.
However, whilst or during its time, it will play out. When we are unable to access that suffering through the lens of impermanence and non-self, there what will happen is a suffering. ඒ කියන්නේ දුක පේන්න ඕන දුක ඒ වෙලාවෙම අත්හරින්න ඕන.
Oh.
එතන දුක තියෙන්නේ ලෝභය හින්දා.
Mm.
The pains of the body, we acknowledge the pain of the body is there because wait, I'm focused on it. I'm interested in it. What's going to happen? Will it increase? Will it decrease? What will happen? Right? All of this keenness, any form of keenness that you give the body, you will realize the body will cause that sense of unsettledness.
Mm.
That is also suffering.
Mm.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Again, Sujatha, when you take that from the moment of
Yes.
the time where you focus your attention onto the suffering nature,
Yes.
and then you going through it, the mind and all of that is siyalam, all of that was suffering for you.
Yes. It's something unusual,
Right? Now
actually.
see, but the thing is this, Sujatha,
Yes, Swami.
that when you see that suffering, you have to observe the suffering like it is not yours.
Mm.
Right.
Right.
That has to be your how could I say your virya,
Mm.
where it is as if, let us say, let me use a very dramatic I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't go there. No, let me say a very dramatic example. Let us say we see an animal burning in the fire.
Yeah.
This is right, an animal burning in the fire. Right.
Mm.
And let us say that this fire is it's not reachable to you.
Mm.
And you're watching this,
Mm.
and you're watching this,
Yeah.
and you are realizing this nature of dukkha. This is the nature of dukkha, but this cannot affect you. How
Mm.
can we come there?
Mm.
How can we observe that dukkha, right, of that horrible sighting that we are seeing?
Yeah.
But I cannot go and save the animal.
Mm.
Impossible. Not going to happen, right? But the mind, how can I maintain the mind in a manner where I am aware of this suffering? මේක අලුත් දෙයක් නෙමේ.
Mm.
This is not something which is new,
Yeah.
right? This is
But
not something.
okay, just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Soon after the meditation was over, I opened my eyes. The pain actually disappeared, I could say.
Mm.
I,
Mm.
I, Even I'm feeling fine now.
Of course, you're fine, Sujata. That is what you must realize.
Yes.
It is the mind playing the game.
Mm.
The
That's
mind is
right.
playing the game because there is craving, taking that object,
Mhm.
believing in what that is showing you, right?
Yes.
In what
Thank
that is
you.
showing you, right? Now, even when we ruminate, let us say we are ruminating on something that happened to us in the past. And in that ruminating process, right, we have a certain view. Let us say this view is that you were wrong, I was wrong, right? Now I'm ruminating in this, ruminating in this, ruminating in this, again and again, reflecting on the fact that I was wrong, and this sankhara comes on. I start believing this entirely.
Mm.
But it could have been a completely different scenario,
Mm.
right? There could have been karmas involved. It's like when you use public transportation, right?
Mm.
And you sometimes you meet wonderful people who go on to be your friends, and sometimes you
Mm.
have interactions in public, and they are so bizarre in nature, and you wonder, what in the world have I done to that person sometimes? Or
Mhm.
what was that? And unknowingly, that, if we were able to see, we might have had some connection bringing
Mm.
us there through karma, through the
Yeah.
complex network of karmas. In that story where I always say, there is no person who did not receive the Bodhisattva during his time of Dana Parami, where he was giving, he was giving, he was giving. There was no one who didn't receive a Dana from the Bodhisattva
Yes. Mm.
except Chunda,
Yeah.
except Chunda.
Mm.
And apparently, meaning the Bodhisattva, the Buddha, in his time of practice, and that long duration of practice, isn't it, to become a Buddha?
Yeah. Could be.
During this time, all of us, you and me included, right? All of us have in some way, shape, or form received, have
Some.
been a benefactor, a recipient of the Bodhisattva's danas.
Ah,
Mm.
මේක
some of it.
මේක
Yeah.
පෝසත් මනුස්සගේ ගෙදරකට ගීල කෑමක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, හිඟා කන අවස්ථාවේ සතයක් දුන්නා වෙන්න පුළුවන්, whatever it is, right? බෝධිසත්වයන්ගේ බෝධිසත්වයන් වහන්සේ බෝසත් අවදියේදී දාන පාරමිතා පුරණ අවස්ථාවේ, during the time he was fulfilling the දාන පාරමිතා throughout his time, we have all except Chunda. What happened to the Buddha? The Chunda offered a pork dish, a
Mm.
pork dish,
Yes, yeah, pork
pork
dishes.
preparation, right?
Yes.
The pork preparation created a reaction, became, it did not go well with
Agree.
Buddha's
The
body, completely
Mm.
rejected it,
Mm.
Mm.
which then put him into an illness, isn't it, everyone?
They
Yes.
say that, yes.
Yes.
Right? Dysentery, neither.
Oh.
Mm.
Dysentery, dysentery. Yeah, dysentery.
Recently. Mm.
Because of that, of course, because of that. But the root, the karmic root, Balan,
Oh.
right? It is mentioned that it is because the Buddha, during his time of practice, for some whatever reason, Chunda did not receive a dana.
Mm.
Mm.
Hari. Now, when we go to other people's house and
Yeah.
eat and have a stomach ache
Mm.
before you say, my gosh, maybe their kitchen is not so clean, right?
Mm.
Think about this as well. How many possibilities could there be for such an occurrence, for you to have that? And we are responsible. But the bizarre fact here is that we cannot remember. But all
Mm.
the Dhamma, knowing past skandha, present skandha, future skandha, we take responsibility for the avidya, the tanha that has unfolded in this moment, and we
Mm.
attribute our attention to observe this nature of impermanence, nature of dukkha, that and non-self that we see all around us and deep within our core of mind and body as well.
Mm.
Mm.
ඔතනින් යන්නේ මෙන්න මේක ගැන අවධානං වෙන්න we grow more familiar with the fact that certain conditions have to unfold.
Mm.
Even Mughal Maharatan Vahanse, wherever he went, people were coming at him with knives and daggers and um, wooden, tools to hit him. And before he was trying to escape, wherever he went, they started running at him. It aroused a sense of violence. Violence.
Mm.
in in these people, in the people that saw him, the Arhat. And when he realized, when he thought to himself, why is this? It's because of that karma.
Amma, yes,
Even after matricide and patricide,
yes,
even after paying his dues in hell for all that time, and still, he was still paying for it with his life as a arahat.
it's amazing how he became Arahat after killing the bear.
Exactly. Which is the fact, Devika,
Yes,
which points out, which is testament to the fact that there is a reality beyond this conventional world that we
believe in. Yes,
believe in. The mother and the father become so special because that mother and father element is in this karma loka where everything flows in a manner of me, 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 me.
mm,
Mm.
The mother and the father's main focus becomes their offspring,
mm, yes,
giving up their youth and energy, welcoming changes, uh,
mm,
and going through all of that, the intentions, the pure intention. Just imagine, I guess when a father or a mother would see their child, the pure love that they would have would give them a sense of, I'm going to be better for him or her. I'm
Mm.
yes.
going to be better for my child.
True, Bante.
Mm.
Uh, that purity of intention is what brings that beautiful thought. I'm going to do better. I'll do whatever that it takes. Right? That is what creates that woeful resultant for Mughal Marathan Vahanse, because his parents too in that
Yes,
life would have felt the same way.
yes.
Would have felt the same way. There is a story about the Bodhisattva, everyone. It's a beautiful story. Where the Bodhisattva, let me remind myself the story. Um, this is something that happens. Okay. Um, it is the um, old mother and the
Mm,
son
mm,
in a village. The old mother and the son, um, the son. There are two stories of the same similar thing. I'm thinking which one is the right detail, right? Um,
Is the one whom he carried on his back while crossing a
no,
river.
no, no, no. The wife. Okay, okay.
Okay.
Got it. um, so it was the mother and the son living in this village, and the son came to have an affair with a girl, right? With a girl. Sorry, the mother and the son. And the son had a friend who used to come over, a very close friend, right? Very close friend. And the friend used to frequent the house often, right? My God, frequent the house often. And the mother developed an eye for the boy, right?
Mm,
The son's friend,
friend.
Mm.
a son's friend, Harry. Now, the son's friend. Now, so the mother started becoming flirtatious, all of these things, right? And when the son goes away and waits for the son to leave,
Mm.
right? This mother was 70 years old.
My God.
OM. OMG, Bante.
This mother was 70 years old. I think 70 or 80. 70 or 80 years old.
Still,
Hari.
still yes.
70 or 80 years old. And now she's waiting there. She's planning with the boy's friend and is waiting for the son to leave for work or different other duties to have the friend over, right? So they scheme and they plan, they scheme and they plan, they scheme and they plan. The mother was bewildered by this youth,
Mm.
right? She was overtaken with so much of lust
Mm.
that she brought told the boy, right? Now the mother, she told the boy, then අපි කොහොමද දැන් එකට ඉන්නේ? How can we come together? How can we be together? Huh?
Mm.
Yeah.
The boy has said, well, up until my friend is alive, I don't think we can be together. Huh?
Mm.
And the mother says, well, let's kill him.
Oh my.
The mother says, well, let's kill him.
Mm.
Hare.
Good. That's unbelievable.
Right. Oh, it's getting there, Sujata. තා පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න ඔයා. Right. So the mother says, let's kill him now. She plans and schemes and does all of these things, right? And to kill her son to marry this boy.
Ooh.
Right? To kill the son to marry this boy. May now, then while she's scheming and doing all of this, then Ugul Atavala, එව් ඔක්කොම දැන් බොයිෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ් එක්ක ඔක්කොම ප්ලෑන් කරලා පුතා මරන්න. හරි. දැන් පුතා ගෙදර ආවට පස්සේ now the plan is well in order. හරි. පුතා ගෙදර ආවට පස්සේ දැන් අම්මා එතන ගෙදර ඇවිද ඇවිදී ඉඳලා දැන් මෙන්න මෙතන පොඩ්ඩක් කලබල වෙලා when she was going about මේ she had a fall,
Mm.
right? She had a fall and whilst අම්මා වැටෙන්න යනකොට පුතා අම්මේ කියලා you know sort of
Helwa. Oh, there's so.
අල්ලගන්නවා. And she
Oh,
has a moment, and she has a moment of seeing the sun. She wakes up out of her lust.
yes.
And she wakes up. She just snaps out of her lust. And she realized, what in the world was I going to do?
Neo. Me puta.
Hari, you know who this Amma is?
Mm.
Ape Gautama Buddha.
Ammi.
Ne, happy.
Yes.
Ooh.
The
That's
mother was Gautama Buddha
gracious me.
during his time as a bodhisattva,
My gosh.
right? And stories like this, brings us, and it's in the Dhamma, right?
Oh.
And stories are like this. The Buddha says, "Me බුදුහාමුදුරු මේ කතාව කියන්න to tell නුඹලා ගැන කවර කතාද
Mm.
නියත විවරණ ලබලා after
Oh,
receiving the proclamation by a Buddha, where the Buddha says to the hermit, you are going to one day attain Buddhahood කිව්වට
Buddhahood.
පස්සේ
Oh,
after receiving that proclamation, such was my lust as a mother,
yes.
willing to kill her own son
Oh, son.
to be with a beautiful youth,
Mm.
right?
It's first time I'm hearing a thing like that.
Such is suffering as well.
My gosh.
Such is suffering. Otokuta, this is not just a suffering that that the mother felt upon realizing her actions, not just that suffering. The
Mm.
suffering arising from that fickle experience of raga itself is suffering.
Suffering. Yes.
Just imagine, you can imagine the when lust arises, the burning, the chalana that one experiences all across the body when hatred arises, the way the chalana experiences all across the body. These experiences, when it is allowed to govern, then it brings about more condition for more suffering. The more one is able to let go, the more one will be able to have peace. The more, the more, um, the more that one refuses to let go and pushes one's heels deep into sansara again, one creates more conditions for that agitation to arise.
Yes.
For that agitation to arise. It is like, for example, being, let us say, a socialite and having so many conditions for so many things to be heard and said, and then being a person who lives in, let us say, seclusion, right away from all of that business. But really, why this is being said is not to say, oh, you should be a recluse and go into seclusion. No, what it says is realize the nature of suffering. Because whether it is internal or external, මේ සියල්ලම දුක්ඛතාවයක්.
Mm.
හරි. මේ සියල්ලම දුක්ඛතාවය. Even if, let us say, everyone, let us say you did everything perfectly. You have lived a template. You have lived the perfect template outlined by your parents, let us say. Right? Go to university, or get married, do this, children, all of that, everything. Let us say you live that template. And even at the end, this feeling of have I done enough? I need to do more. That arises. That arises within people who have done amazing, amazing things, and it arises within people who haven't done much as well. It arises in everyone. Because why? Greed.
Mm.
The universality of this suffering. Maker, as we have studied in the Patana, this is not just happening to me, it is a condition. And because that condition is so, this is the experience. But I again attribute this experience to be mine or mine again, my experience, but it's not my experience, it's experience. And when that pain increases, ask Elise, when that pain is there, oh, if you observe it even more, the whole body completely feeling like it's going to be crushed into 100 million pieces. But the moment that you learn to let go, right? So that is your, when you go into then using these parts, when you experience suffering in your meditation practice,
Mm.
you have to let go. Because again, why? Four noble truths. What is the cause of suffering? The tanha. The tanha. And realizing, because we often like good experiences, pleasant experiences of meditation, right? And we prefer not to have bad experience, negative experiences like pain. But in the end, at the end of the day, in the Dhamma, what is dukkha sacca? The akusala and the kusala and the body, the rupa, is all dukkha sacca.
Mm.
So it is not just the unpleasant, but it is also the pleasant, everyone. So when Vipassana meditator is seasoned and is devoted, committed to the present, and continues that practice, subsequently they become comfortable in that position. Right.
Mm.
Letting go, letting go.
Different stories.
All right, everyone. I'm going to leave you there. I wanted to have a light class today because I've been stressing myself a little bit and stretching myself over different projects that is happening in Colchester and
Mm.
in Sri Lanka as well. We are starting this child protection hotline in Sri Lanka. And it's taking, so it's a bit of training, but I didn't want to cancel today also. So I thought, okay, let me do a meditation and do it this way, where I don't have to prepare for hours before doing the session.
It's so
I hope
grateful, Bante.
I hope the session was fruitful for all of you.
Yes,
And, take care, everyone. I will see you tomorrow for the Abhidhamma class. Teruvan
Right.
Sarana.
Theron
Everyone,
Sarana.
Saranai
Thank
to
you,
Anil, sir.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.